Oh yeah, man, this show is awesome. No, seriously, it is wall-to-wall awesomeness. I wish more shows had the balls to do the stuff that's in this show. I mean, it is entertainment, gore, just funny, crazy stuff. Guys, seriously, you gotta watch this show.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror! Rainbows from Hell. Yes. I was wanting to do the, oh, you know. Anyways, episode 2. My God, I feel like I've already been a week into this, but it's not. No, it is episode 2. And after last night's wonderful review of Ash vs. Evil Dead, I mean, I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, so of course I love that shit. And my God, season number 2 kicks off tonight also. So, man, I mean, obviously you're going to watch that instead of my video. But hey, after you watch that, watch my video. Awesome. Wait, you've already watched it. Anyways, I thought, well, what can I do tonight? And I thought, you know what? I'm going to review a movie that I picked up the steel box just recently, just this year. So y'all know what I'm talking about, of course, because you read the title of the freaking video, right? So I'm just going to get into it. I've got Dario Argento's classic slasher mystery, Tenebrae. And I'm going to call it Tenebrae because I think that's I remember them saying it, pronouncing that way in the English dialogue. So I'm going to say Tenebrae, even though I guess it could be considered something else. Anyways, this movie is Dario Argento in his wonderful eye camera work, the stalking camera in this movie, especially in the scene of the kind of the apartment complex of the two lesbians, was just magnificent. I was going to say magnifique, but I just went to magnificent, so whatever. Anyway, magnifique. Yeah. The horrible French accent. Whatever. I'm American. What do you expect? Anyways, so what is this movie about? This movie is about an American author named Peter Neal, who is going to Rome to write a new novel, and apparently they love him in Rome. His latest book has been a bestseller for several weeks, and it's so wonderfully inspiring that it inspired one of his fans to start murdering in kind of, at least to begin with, in the same fashion that the murderer does in Tenebrae. So, of course, he arrives in Rome, and just before he arrives, some shoplifter who was shoplifting his book too. I mean, I don't know how do you even just providence, I guess. Anyways, she gets killed. The police find her mouth stuffed with pages from that book, and so they go talk to Mr. Peter and say, hey, you know what? There's this guy killed someone, and oh, lo and behold, he gets an anonymous letter. The author gets the anonymous letter talking about how he's purifying the miscreants, the deviants, the debauch, a real crusader. And so the movie kind of is a slasher mystery where the writer tries to figure out who's behind this and what's the connection, the murders, because all of a sudden people that are that he knows, the author knows, start ending up dead one by one. And so you kind of have this nice little mystery type of movie with some nice violence and wonderful atmosphere done by Dario Argento. And you also get a whole bunch of red herrings. Oh my God, there are so many red herrings in this movie. It's ridiculous. I mean, you're just wondering because they keep piling things like, oh, is it this person? Is it that person, or this person? Which honestly is something that a good mystery does. tries to make you think like, oh, you know what? It seems like it might be this person, but is it really this person? All that misdirection and stuff like that, and a crazy little twist ending too, that I don't want to spoil because I kind of went, whoa, really? Because something happens in the movie which you're like what, how, and it's kind of confusing when it happens, but when you get to the end, then you're like, oh yeah, now I get it. So let's get to those scores because that's what we're all waiting for. So violence and gore, I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. It starts off really kind of tame, a lot of the violence and blood off screen. But as it goes on, it gets nastier and nastier. And there's this arm chop off scene. Now, maybe not the best of special effects, but still, like, the amount of blood that was just pouring out of the person's arm was just ridiculous. And I just loved it. And like I said, it got much more violence. We got an axing in the head. We got axing in the back. We got axing in the gut. I mean, you got a lot of axing going on, even though it's strange because it was like a straight razor was the murderer's weapon of choice. But hey, besides the point. So 3 out of 5. Shock value, I'm also giving a 3 out of 5. There is a scene toward the end where it's like, I mean, I guess you could say it's cliche and kind of a trope now, but back then maybe not as much. But yeah, now I think about it, it might still have been kind of cliche, but it was pretty nice. And of course, like I said, some of the twists and the turns in the story also helped with the shock value. Plus that arm scene, oh, much blood everywhere. I just loved it. So 3 out of 5. Acting. Honestly, I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 5 because I really enjoyed the actor who played Peter. I thought his performance was really great. The guy who played his what do you call it? His publicist, not his publicist, his agent. He gets 10%, and there was a nice joke from the detective talking to the agent, going, it's like, oh, yeah, the guy's getting a lot of murders. You get 10% of that too. I know I totally butchered that line, but I'm paraphrasing. But it was a nice moment. He did a wonderful job. There's a scene where he's like waiting for a date in the middle of kind of a public place, and he's just kind of like looking at all the goings on, and it just really kind of hit me the nuance of his performance. Now, of course, someone might come along and say, "Oh God, he was overacting in that scene." So I mean, but hey, that's me. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really great. It really drew me in. Some of the other surrounding characters, maybe not so much, and it's also kind of hard because in these type of movies, these Italian movies, everyone's speaking their native language, and then basically get dubbed over. For the American version, you get the American language dub over the Italian, and vice versa in the Italian version. So it's one of those things where some of the Italian actors and actresses kind of get a little bit different because of the dubbing, but still, I really enjoyed the performances overall. Yes, there was some overacting, but the strength of the main character's acting, I thought, was superb. So I'm giving that a 4 out of 5. Just on that alone. Because I can, man. Alright? So, plot. Now this is where it kind of, hits a little bit of a rough spot. So I like the twists and turns. I like the ending. Kind of not see it coming in that sort of way. But there are just too many conveniences. A little bit too much, I guess you would say, Deus Ex Machina. I mean, one scene really stuck out in mind, and that is this daughter of the caretaker of the apartment that Peter is staying in. She gets dropped off by some guy. She got all pissed off at him, so he drops her off, and she's got to walk home. and she happens to walk by this estate that's guarded by a Doberman that's barking and scaring the heck out of her, and how somehow the Doberman escapes and chases after her. It's it's kind of an interesting scene, watching the dog like trying to get at her. But we're like, why? I mean, it doesn't seem like, she's not trespassing. She's walking out in the street. So I'm just not sure why the Doberman's attacking her. And she just happens to run into the killer's house, trying to escape the dog. And I'm just like, that is just a little too convenient. I mean, just a little too convenient. And plus, it's just, there's some other things that seem pretty convenient in this movie, and I just can't let that slide. I just can't let it slide. And so instead of the plot being like a solid 3.5 or even up to a 4, I gotta give it a 2 out of 5 because those things stuck and it hit me and they did bother me, and that is definitely a weakness. Plus, a little bit, it's a little confusing here and there, and it just seemed like a little bit too leading in this movie. Plus, the actual flow of the movie is not as fluid as I want it to be. There are some times where the pace just kind of starts to drag a little bit. You get like a little jerking, and honestly, it is a little disappointing because I really do love Dario Argento's work, and so I got to be harsh here on the plot. It's not as great as I would hope it would have been, and so I'm only going to give it a 2 out of 5. But still, we still got some good stuff going. Now we go to Nudity, that wonderful sprinkles on the ice cream. 2.5 out of 5. Obviously, it's an Italian flick. Of course, there's going to be some nice titties here and there, and it was a decent amount, so I'm giving it 2.5 out of 5. Enjoyment factor, I am giving it a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed watching this movie. Yes, some parts started to get a little slow. Like I said, some of the plot was a little confusing. There was the conveniences of what was going on. However, I watched it. I just love the visual style of Argento, the way he uses the camera, the stalking camera, the moving camera. Just that scene at the lesbian apartment was just so beautifully done. And I know some people might see it and go, it's a little too artsy, it's a little too slow. But I was just was reveling in the movement, in the form, and how it just was going from one place to another. It was really great. The scene where the one of the victims was being chased, and just how the camera just followed her. The whole stalking of the shoplifter. It's like, oh, she look over here. Oh, the camera goes. I mean, it just worked wonderful. And by the way, it wasn't a murderer stalking her. That was store security, which apparently back in those days in Italy, you could get off with shoplifting if you offer to have sex with the security guard at a later time, because that's kind of what happened in this movie. Not a spoiler, it happens in like the first 5 minutes of the damn film. Anyways, so 4 out of 5. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was highly entertaining for me. However, my overall impressions, this is my more critical stance, is going to be a 3 out of 5. The problems of this film bring the score down. Still enjoyable, but yes, I mean, not a masterpiece, but still a very solid movie, very fun, very entertaining, and I would suggest you watch it. Tenebrae, I guess, see, now I did it. Average score comes out to be a 3.1 out of 5. Great movie. The Steelbook is awesome. I've shown this to you before. However, if none of you watched that video, it comes with the DVD, the Blu-ray, and the soundtrack. Great booklet, detailing all kinds of stuff about the movie, and some great special features, including an alternate credits, alternate opening, and really, really solid movie. Really fun time. If you like slasher flicks, if you like Dario Argento, I suggest you pick this one up. You could get the Steelbook from Synapse if they still have any left, but last I checked, they were running pretty low on those. So, but still, love it. Like this here is from a scene in the movie where not to spoil, but to spoil, it's like the lady is putting on a shirt and she hears a noise like part way. So her head's like still kind of in the shirt, and the guy just slashes through the shirt, and oh my god, there's a murderer. So, anyways, so yeah, just things like that, little things like that, is why I like these movies so much, especially like Dario Argento. Sometimes you just don't get those little interesting moments in other horror movies nowadays, especially the ones that are just kind of by the numbers. Even though by the numbers can be good as long as it's executed well. But there you have it. Tenebrae, overall 3 out of 5. Average score 3.1 out of 5. Enjoyment 4 out of 5. And that is that. I mean, honestly, I could just talk about Argento films and any of his films at length for like an hour or so, just going through everything. And I mean, I would love to, but I don't think anyone else wants to. So I thought, okay, hopefully you get the gist for what's going on in this movie, and hopefully you enjoyed this review. And yeah, I think of like what I'm going to do for tomorrow. Tomorrow's episode 3. But until then, you enjoy yourselves, Internet, and stay scary.